Hey, oh, that was probably a bit too loud. So, best and worst games of 2022, best and worst platinums of 2022. I'm gonna talk about mine. I can't attest to the games you played, the great games, the bad games. So in this video, we're gonna be talking about my worst games, but also the best games I played. It's been a hell of a ride. Been a few bumps. It's been a bit shit at times. So yeah, let's talk about it. Be real with me for 1 second though. Do I have a bit of a Spider-Man obsession? I'm not sure. I may need medical assistance. Cannabis. That's it, guys. So today we're going to be talking about my best plats and my worst plats of 2022. So I've played a fair few games. Not as many as I would have liked to have played. Yeah, so I've only actually played like 16 games in total this year, which is nowhere near what I thought. I have played a few games on, Xbox, but who gives a shit, right? So yeah, I've actually only earned 13 platinums this year. They're on the screen right now, I imagine, probably, if someone edits them. Someone edits this video, I imagine it's going to be me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my best platinum of this year. I think it's going to surprise you just a little bit, I have to say. So make sure you stay and figure out what it is, because you ain't going to think it's the one that it is, I have to say. And then we're going to talk about my worst platinum. Yeah. Games I have mentioned previously, and I didn't want to mention them. I was like, I don't want to talk about these shit games again. But then I realised that if you have never seen me rant about these games, it's the first video you've ever watched. Please subscribe. Please, baby. If it's the first video you've ever watched, you need to know of these goddamn awful games. So we're going to go honourable mentions. Third, second, first. You get the whole idea. So, best games. I've nailed it down. My best platinums, should I say. So these are the only games I've earned the platinum in. So, I've played everything, in theory, that the game has to offer, and so much more to get the platinum. We all know how it works. Developers make the games, and they make you do so much more, and it makes you wonder if you're wasting your time. Yeah, it does. I feel that. I feel that. Many a time, especially with the worst games. Best games, not so much. Consult my notes. Hentai. Oh, no. That wasn't hentai, it was self-portrait. We're good. So my third best platinum is Call of Duty 4 Remastered, Modern Warfare. What a goddamn game, and I had to join the Mile High Club to get this platinum trophy. I thought I was already a member, but it turns out having a Tommy Tank on an airplane doesn't mean you're part of the Mile High Club. Who'd have thunk? Didn't have it in me. Going into it, I was like, I haven't played first-person shooter game in years and years and years, and even when I did, I played them so casually, but actually after dipping my toe in and struggling through the Veteran, and I have to say the Veteran is absolutely brutal. The Mile High Club trophy, which is for finishing the epilogue on Veteran, is soul-crushingly hard. Oh my god. But it was a great challenge. I got there in the end, and I really had to work my way through it. It really pushed me to the absolute limit, but I did it. And I think this game does not get the reputation for being so hard, because when you go on the guides, etc, it's only a 5 out of 10 because you can use in-game exploits. You can basically cheat the difficulty, so you can play the hardest difficulty on easy, which means that it's not difficult. But if you play it legitimately on Veteran, it is so goddamn hard. And if you want to watch a video I made of me playing this, you can do it here or here. I don't know how YouTube works. So my next hardest game is Alien Elite Fireteam, or Alien Fireteam Elite. I can never remember which way you say it. It is by PSNP, my hardest platinum trophy, and one of the hardest platinum trophies, actually, in existence in the PlayStation. It's a 9 out of 10 now. There's many games out of 9 out of 10, but it's definitely in the top 3 or 4% of the hardest games on PlayStation. It really is brutal. 12 levels, you have to do them on all 4 difficulties. The end difficulty being 2 or 3 attacks from a single xenomorph, which is like the lowest AI enemy, will down you, and you have 4 to 5 seconds to be revived by your teammate. Now that, if you actually think about how hard that actually is, it is pretty staggering, and you have to learn every single goddamn level. I did this with my friend Connor, did it with my brother Joel, and we absolutely smashed it, and it was just so much fun, so rewarding, and it's just great, working together and actually learning the maps and communicating. It really tests your ability to game, it tests your ability to communicate with others, and it also tests your goddamn friendship, because there's been times where I want to just punch everybody, but by that really, they all really just want to KO me because I am incompetent at video games, as most things. But in the end, we all learned our roles. Every single person has a specific role to play in each level because of all the classes, and you have to master a couple of classes per person. Some levels will require more assault classes, more tech classes, more healer classes. So you've really got to be a master of 2 classes each to finish this game. It involves so much repetition, and people who played Soulsborne games know the feeling of, playing 45, 50 minutes, an hour, dying and having to do it all over again. I would say it's the hardest platinum I have ever done. I'm really proud of it. I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. But you need people to play with. You do. Without them, Okay, so the best game I played is going to be a shock to some people because a lot of people hated this game. I think jumping on the back from Alien Elite Fireteam, you might realise I've spoke about Diablo 3. These cooperative games I've just fallen in love with over the past 18 months to 2 years. Playing with friends, a couple hours, a couple times a week, having a good banter with them, catching up on your lives, but then also working towards a challenging game. It's just there's so much going on and I really find it so addictive. And therefore my best platinum, I think this is going to shock you. I think this is... because people are going to say this game sucks, right? It's Outriders. That is right, Outriders is my best platinum, and I think I'm going to go as far to say it's the best game I played this year. And I know this game was absolutely destroyed, absolutely battered when it came out, but I do think that if you play the game for 10 hours, you just do the really generic, boring story and look at the okay visuals for, 2019, 2020 when it came out. You're going to say this game's underwhelming, but the story's like literally a quarter of the game. The game excels in its combat and its loot and customization and its gear. You can truly build the class you want to build and change your class to play in hundreds and hundreds of different ways. You really build your character in such a unique way where it is you. It represents the way you want to play it. I am a glass cannon, that's how I've always played in these type of games. Rogue class traditionally, high damage, low health, high maneuverability. These are the things that I love in these type of games, and I really got to do that. And I play with my brother and Connor, and my brother always plays as a heavy tank, so we always bounce off each other so well. And I just think this game is just utterly fantastic. I think it's so fun with people. Admittedly, yeah, playing it by yourself may not be as fun, but I have played this game for about 80-90 hours, I would have said, and easily 30 hours it has been by myself, just grinding up loot, grinding up gear, leveling up, and I was never ever bored. The levels are fun, exciting, engaging, and again, it's just the gear system just keeps you coming back for more, and I think it's just a fantastic game. If you don't like looter shooters, I totally get it. And over late, we've had a few shit looter shooters, Avengers. Gotham Knights is meant to be a pretty grim looter shooter. We've had games like that, and that shows that when companies have the plan of monetizing looter shooters, it utterly fails. But when you come in, make a game that has no monetization, no transactions based around the base game, you can see how good these looter shooter mechanics actually are and how fun and rewarding these games are. It's not a hard platinum, it's like a 3 out of 10. I've done the DLC, I jumped in back for that, which again was another 10 to 20 hours of enjoyment. People are going to think this is ridiculous, but honestly, Outriders is so much fun and it's the best platinum I earned in 2022. Okay, time for the poop. Time for the poop games. The worst platinums I've unlocked in 2022. Bit of a variation here because some of them are not hard, they're just shit, and others of them are difficult and maybe not my kind of game, but it doesn't mean they're a bad game, okay? So my third worst game of 2022 that I played, for the record, I don't think any of these games came out in 2022, is Awesome P. So back in February, March, cast your minds back, I did this Platinum Bro Difficulty League challenge where how it worked was you were put into a team of 8 to 12 and then you got points for the platinums you earned based on the difficulty. So for example, a game that was a 3 out of 10 might got you 3 points, but a game that was 10 out of 10 got you 20 points. So it was kind of this way that we all worked together. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really hard work for us on the Discord server as the mods, and I wanted to get off the mark. I played Untitled Goose Game, and I think I played Awesome P as well. There was like 3 out of 10s, took 4 or 5 hours. I just want to get some points on the board because I was working on Alien Elite Fireteam at the same time. I needed to get some points for the team, for Plat Bros. So I played Awesome P 2. Obviously it's a sequel to Awesome P. Awesome P is a little bit challenging, and it's just a basic platformer, right? It's just absolutely okay. Awesome P 2 is the same. Now, it's not the worst game I've ever played. It's not the worst platformer I've ever played. It's just I haven't played that many bad games this year. And some of the ones later on, I have reasons to dislike them. I just thought Awesome P, it was just a really generic platformer. It was short, and I think that was the main thing. If you're going to make a really easy platforming game, don't make it 30 to 40, 50 levels long that you can do in a minute to 2 minutes, because basically you're making a 2-hour game, which is really easy. So from an actual platform perspective, it was just an underwhelmingly easy platformer, which you could finish so quickly. Then from an actual gaming perspective, it was just a generic platformer game where you play as a P instead of, a Mario ripoff. Absolutely nothing innovative here, nothing new, just a generic, bog standard indie game. And for that, I would never recommend anybody ever play this game. Oh, no, that wasn't meant to happen. Alright, number 2. Now, this is the thing. If you've watched my videos for a while, I've reviewed both of these games coming up second and number 1. And I feel a little bit bad for hating on this game so much because it's a pretty decent game. I can see why people like it. I just didn't like it. Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami. Yeah, Hotline Miami. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. Yeah, you know, I got recommended by Vault Boy Steven and I will never let him forget it. And every video I mention Hotline Miami, I have to mention the fact that he utterly betrayed me as a friend by recommending this game. It's an over-the-top 80s one shot, one kill kind of game. You make your way through these over-the-top levels, you die, straight back to the start. You die in one hit, they die in one hit. It's very fast-paced, and there's a lot of skill going on, I have to say, and it just got boring. And the difficulty was unrewarding, and I like games that where they're difficult, that's fine, but as you beat harder levels, you get some sort of reward, you know, a level up, more health, something that rewards you. This was a basic arcade 80s game. You just get through a level, each level gets harder and harder and harder. And I've said it a few times, I didn't like the music, and I didn't mind the music for the first 10 hours. This game only took me 20 hours to platinum, 25 hours. But you have to get a high score on every single level, and I think this is when the game mechanics break the game. The AI responds to you so quickly. There's a lock-on system and a free attack system. The lock-on system for, you know, automatic weapons, throwing things, etc. is clearly the way they want you to play the game. But you find that when people are running towards you, you just lock onto enemies through walls while those are coming through doors. And they see you, they react like that, they get you, you're dead straight away. And it's just this repetitive loop of just fighting the game mechanics, and that's what's so difficult. I think the combat is fine, the game's fine. It's got a good... The thing is, I don't want to undersell it because it's actually considerably better than Awesome P as a game. You know, it's a fast-paced, retro arcade fighter game, over-the-top killer, whatever you want to call it. But I just think that when you get to the Platinum Trophy level where you have to really go for the high scores and be really particular with your gameplay and your movement, it shows that the gameplay is broken, essentially, and it just holds you back every step of the way and becomes more and more annoying. Plus, there's loads and loads of weapon kills trophies with no built-in trackers. So again, it just becomes frustrating. I don't like games where I have to make an Excel spreadsheet to track the trophies, which is what I had to do for this game. So yeah, it's not a terrible game. I just really didn't like it. I think the idea is good. The music's annoying after 2-3 hours. The gameplay is good enough, but when you go for the platinum and you have to get the high scores, it just shows that it's just not polished enough for that high level and the low mistake sections of the game. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I will not be playing Hotline Miami 2 ever. Okay, my worst game. Worst game of 2022 that I platinumed was just a real bag of shit in the face on so many levels. Not only is it a retro style arcade game, which I do like arcade machines, I love going to arcades. It's based on a book, graphic novel that I love, and it's also based on a film, which is one of my favourite films of all time. Scott Pilgrim vs. the fucking world. I've made videos on this, several, and I've spoke to quite detail and length why I hate this goddamn game. It just sucks, and it's glitchy, and it's broken, and it isn't fun. So you know what, you play the game, it'll take you an hour and a half to finish the game once. Fair enough, you know, you have your fun, you leave it there. This game belongs in an arcade, nowhere else. You play it, you have a bit of crack with your friends, you leave it there. The Platinum Trophy, this is where we kind of get punished as trophy hunters. You know, when the length of time for the Platinumers extends the length of the game, the time you want to spend with the game, by so much significantly that it ruins your experience. And that's what happened with Scott Pilgrim. You could have played that game for 90 minutes, left it, never touched it again, said it was an okay game. You have to play through this game a minimum of 7 times. One with every character, a speed run, and then a bit of an 8th run with Mega Scott. And it just highlights how boring the game is. The combat is so generic. There's no real thought into the combat. It's a side-scrolling brawler fighter game, like Streets of Rage, etc., etc. All the old arcade games like X-Men, Avengers, these type of games. And it's just so underwhelming. Only option you can do is attack. You have a few combos, but ultimately they don't matter. The enemies can block pretty much most of the attacks in the late game, and the early game, as you attack them, they just stand there and take a pounding anyway. So it's like, you might as well just spam square for most of the game, or get some sort of melee weapon and just blast people in oblivion, because ultimately at the end, they all just stand there and block regardless, and you're just stood there with no way to break a guard, just waiting for them to finally attack you to try and break their guard. It is so frustrating. And not only that, the game has so many glitches. So many glitches. When you fight Todd, one of the first or second or third evil ex-boyfriends, the game crashes. Okay? Boom. Trophy, progress for that character, gone. Doing speed run, progress, gone. So yeah, you gotta do that. Firstly, first and foremost, you gotta make your way through that, and the only way you really can do it is to turn your resolution down to 720p. For a remastered game that came out as a 720p in the PlayStation 3, so the game isn't remastered. If you want the game to work, you gotta turn back down to its 720 original format. how was this not checked during the game processing and testing phase? It clearly doesn't work, and it was released as it did. It clearly was not tested at the slightest, because you could update these games. You could release a patch and you could update this so easily, and it's just not been done. It's been abandoned. This game came out as a remaster 3 years ago, and it's not been fixed. It is absolutely shocking work from the developers, and it's a basic, boring game, and utterly just shit through and through. And it's such a shame for me to say, because I love Scott Pilgrim. He's so cool and so funny, and the film is so worth watching. But yeah, without a doubt, the worst game I've ever platinumed. Maybe not ever, but definitely this year. Now let me know, what are your best and what are your worst platinums? Share them down below. We all want to know your top 3, 2 special mentions, and your best platinum for this year. Same for worst. I'm sure we all want to know. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like and subscribe. Help the bro out. Much appreciated. Peace.